as the ANC deliberates on his future, former ANC President Jacob Zuma today led an MK rally in kwaXimba. In December, the former president announced that he would vote for the MK party while remaining a member of the ANC. Now, the party says it is aiming to draw crowds, and this is the MK that is into this rally. And SABC News reporter Simphiwe Makhanya has been tracking that story for us and joins us live now. Mnguni, let's start first with the significance of the choice of this venue, especially if one is to ponder this particular area seen through the years as an ANC stronghold.
Indeed, it is a stronghold of the ANC, the biggest award of the ANC nationally, the area of kwaXimba, and of course, Bongi, with thousands of AMK supporters have converged here to listen to the speech that was delivered by former President Jacob Zuma. No surprises in terms of what was contained in the speech, Bongi. Of course, this being an election year, the former president really, taking a lot of time, urging supporters of MK and those really who are still skeptical about whether or not they are going to participate in the upcoming elections, saying that this is a do-or-die elections for the people of South Africa, and of course saying that the MK party is the only party that really, can change the things around in terms of the current situation of high unemployment, lack of service delivery in some of the areas. But of course, Bongiwe, I have not been alone in this production. My colleague Ayanda Mhlongo has been following through in terms of the proceedings here. Ayanda, as expected, of course, the former president spent a lot of time, reminding people to register to vote and, of course, to vote for the MK.
Yes, of course. I mean, what we're seeing here today, Simphiwe, is Umkhonto we Sizwe party ramping up its support. Former President Jacob Zuma attacking what one might say, as you've mentioned there correctly, the heart of the ANC. He's now essentially launching his MK party here in the eThekwini metro, and especially here in a ward which we know has the highest, had one of the largest numbers of the African National Congress. So certainly sending a message by the thousands and thousands that have come out here today. As you were saying, that what he spoke about today was expected, but he spoke, stressed a lot on the importance of people going out to vote or to register to vote. Firstly, this coming weekend, as we know that the 3rd and the 4th, of course, is going to be the final voter registration weekend. But of course, I guess there's also many unanswered questions about Umkhonto we Sizwe, former President Jacob Zuma, not touching on a lot of issues. We know that this weekend the ANC's NEC is meeting, and top of the agenda is going to be the Zuma matter and how they're going to deal with the former President Jacob Zuma. Are they as a party going to now announce that he's officially been expelled from the party? We've heard what the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal has said, that despite all efforts to try and encourage former President Jacob Zuma to negotiate with him, all those have not worked out, and they said, well, for them, he has decided to leave the ANC. But of course, it's still, I think, an important for the African National Congress and himself, for the national leaders of the party, to decide or to at least announce what they're going to do with former President Jacob Zuma. He's not alone. You saw some members of the ANC, former councillors, former mayors, deputy mayors who are also here. So it's not just about former President Jacob Zuma, but how the ANC is going to act against its councillors and the members that are in its branches that have now left the ANC and joined Umkhonto we Sizwe. Former President Jacob Zuma not touching on those issues in response to some of the attacks that have come from some of the senior leaders of the ANC, namely Police Minister Bheki Cele, former Premier of KwaZulu-Natal Senzo Mchunu, and many others that have come out and criticized former President Jacob Zuma for leaving or turning his back on the ANC, and an ANC that has supported him through some of the most challenging times of his life. Also, you were mentioning what he said, Simphiwe, in terms of how Umkhonto we Sizwe is going to focus on changing the lives of the ordinary people of South Africa. Another question might be, he had 9 years in office. Jacob Zuma Zuma had 9 years in office, and the things that he's going to change, or he says that Umkhonto we Sizwe is going to change now. Why didn't they change it in the 9 years that he was in office? So many unanswered questions, but the crowds are here, and I guess it's going to be very interesting as we move forward, Simphiwe, to see what is going to happen in terms of KwaZulu-Natal. We know that political analysts have said that KZN is no doubt going to be the battleground, and today we are seeing that it's certainly going to be very interesting as we move towards the elections.
I was indeed about to ask about the fact that, of course, he's making all these promises, but he was given a chance to lead South Africa for about 9 years, as you say. The message, did it resonate with the people who are here? And also going forward for the MK, I think interestingly it would be to understand whether this party will be able to spread its wings in terms of not being seen as a KwaZulu-Natal based party.
Well, not only as a KwaZulu-Natal party, but a party of disgruntled people who might have not been given positions. So there's also that a lot of the people that we are seeing here today, and let's be honest, are people that were excluded, that are no longer councillors, that were removed from their positions. So there's also that. His message seems to resonate with the people. I mean, just today, it was scorching hot to Simphiwe, but thousands and thousands, despite that, coming out to listen to him. But again, numbers is also something that is difficult when you look at the numbers of people. Often or not, it's deceiving. That's what I want to say. Numbers can be deceiving. We've seen stadiums that are filled up to capacity by many political parties, and now we are seeing Umkhonto we Sizwe. But ultimately, what will happen on the day that people go out to vote? A lot of people might have come out here today just for the fun and wanting to see former President Jacob Zuma in the area. We know that he enjoys incredible support in KwaZulu-Natal, and that is why he's probably used this province as a launching pad. So I guess as time goes on, we'll start to see. Also, Simphiwe, we don't know much about Umkhonto we Sizwe. The only person that is known is former President Jacob Zuma, who was backing Umkhonto we Sizwe. We know Mr. Khumalo, who is said to have established or registered Umkhonto we Sizwe. But apart from that, we don't know who their leaders are. So that's also going to be interesting. The parties are now in the process where they now need to finalize their list, which will then be submitted to the IEC. So it's going to be interesting as well to see which leaders is the MK going to field for the provincial parliament and the national legislature. So, I beg your pardon, the National Assembly. So still a lot of unanswered questions, but from what we're seeing on the ground, his message is resonating, but only time will tell.
Before I let you go, Ayanda, of course, when you listen to his speech, he's a man who seems unfazed by what the ANC-NEC may decide regarding his future. Of course, he still maintains that he's the member of the ANC and he will die a member of the ANC, but this time around he's not going to be campaigning, voting for the party.
Yeah, I think there is still a lot of confusion where, we've seen the people that we've been engaging with after Umkhonto we Sizwe was officially announced, and former President Jacob Zuma then announcing that he's going to back them and saying that I remain a member of the ANC, but I'm going to be supporting Umkhonto we Sizwe. So still a lot of people are confused about that. But as I was saying, that only time will tell in terms of what is essentially going to happen with Umkhonto we Sizwe. You mentioned the point that has been said about him, but I felt today that he ignored all of that. One might say he snubbed and did not want to enter into the fray already. He said at some point that he's going to respond to some of the leaders and the insults that have leveled against him. He mentioned here today to supporters to not listen to the rhetoric and not listen to the narrative that certain people are trying to drive about him and about Umkhonto we Sizwe. But I guess, only time will tell whether or not people remain with the former President Jacob Zuma and Umkhonto we Sizwe party, or is it just, the excitement of seeing the former president? This is for the first time, as Simphiwe, in the history of the ANC. We've seen other senior leaders of ANC split and go and form their parties, but we must take note that this is the first time in the history of that a former leader, former president has decided to leave the party and go and support another party. As I said, it's very interesting times ahead, Simphiwe, and we'll be, of course, closely monitoring the progress of Umkhonto Umkhonto weSizwe.
Ayanda, thank you so much for your time. My colleague there, Ayanda Mhlongo, giving us an analysis in terms of what transpired here during the day and also what we can expect going forward. Of course, Bongiwe, a lot has been said about this political party, which is Umkhonto weSizwe, backed by former President Jacob Zuma. We do, of course, know that they have interim leadership at the moment. In terms of the policies, not very clear, but from the speeches that have been delivered by various leaders of the party, the issue of the land, has been, touched on quite prominently. The issue of unemployment has been touched on prominently. And of course, not forgetting the critical issue that is currently facing the country, that of the, load shedding that is being experienced in South Africa. I'm going to step out of the shot and allow my colleague Thulani Ngobo to give our viewers a sense, Bongiwe, as I hand back to you in studio of what is currently happening. The former president has finished delivering his speech now. So the program has entered the entertainment section, and thereafter we are expecting the former president to leave the stage, any minute from now. Bongiwe.